Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fourth session of our web series, which is called the Think Tank. Well, Shark Tank did cross our minds, but some American company had taken that name, so we stuck to this title. My name is Ankit Bansal. I'm the founder and CEO of Sapphire Human Solutions. Sapphire is today one of the top 10 executive search firms in the country. I founded the firm in 2008. And over the last 12 years, now we've completed more than 900 CXOs, which we've placed with our clients across BFSI, technology, consulting, industrial, pharma, healthcare, infrastructure, and real estate. Think Tank. Think Tank is a melting pot for some of the most fertile brains in our country to come together and share thoughts and ideas with industry stalwarts. And to guide us and advise us today, I think we've got somebody who I can totally call as one of the doyens of the pharma healthcare industry, Vaidheesh Annaswamy. Vaidheesh, thank you so much. So as we all know, Vaidheesh was the chairman and managing director for GSK Pharma for 5 years, where he was running a $500 million business with a 20% EBITDA and a business which was accountable for 30% of world's volume of oral tablets. Before joining GSK, Vaidheesh spent more than 21 years at Johnson & Johnson. He started out in their consumer products division, where he was the marketing director and franchise director. Then he went on to lead the medical devices group for J&J, which was a $300 million business. He also oversaw the diabetes franchise for the entire Asia-Pac region for J&J, again a $250 million plus kind of a business. And then he went on to become the MD and chairman for GSK Pharma. He won the Economic Times Award as the most promising Asian leader of the year in 2016. He's also been conferred the very prestigious Michael Portal Award for shared values. And he's also been the chairman, president of OPPI for 3 years. I know we are all on mute, but can I request everyone to give a big thumbs up to Vaidheesh? Vaidheesh, thank you so much. Thanks for sparing time. Really, really good to have you over here. Well, along with Vaidheesh, I'm equally delighted to have a galaxy of very, very esteemed delegates, sharp minds from pharma, health tech, med tech space. I would request everybody to give a quick short introduction about your organizations. Can I first request Arunima, who joins us from iGenetic Diagnostics, to introduce about her company?
Hello everyone, my name is Arunima. I started iGenetic in 2015. We do some cutting edge work in the diagnostic space, especially in the infection. So real-time PCR is now, everybody is aware what real-time PCR is, but we have been talking about infection diagnosis using real-time PCR for the last 6 years. In fact, perhaps the most comprehensive menu in the country today on infection diagnostics. Our COVID test was ready in January. We also have an approved kit now for COVID. But we are a services company present across India. That's short introduction on my company.
Hi, I'm Geetha here, founder and CEO of Nirmai, basically a computer scientist turned entrepreneur. At Nirmai, we have developed a new method of detecting early stage breast cancer using AI over thermal images. The technology we developed is called Analytix, which basically measures the temperature variations on the chest, and a software which is AI enabled analyzes it to say whether something is wrong with the person, as in like is she abnormal, is she like malignant or not. In fact, the one proud fact about our company is that we are the only Indian startup listed on the top 100 AI startups in the world. Look forward to interacting with all.
Hi Ankit, thanks for having me on this panel. This is, as Ankit mentioned, my name is Manjunath. I have a PhD in cell biology from the Indian Institute of Science, followed by about 25 years of experience in the US, Singapore, and back home in India. I founded Esteemed Diagnostics, which is a oncology-focused diagnostics company, and we make innovative tests which assess how aggressive is the patient's cancer and based on that, whether to give the patient chemotherapy or not, since every patient doesn't benefit from chemotherapy. So we are really into the treatment planning process of cancer patients. And it's a 9-year-old startup, and we have been selling our first flagship product, CanAssist Breast, for last 3 years. We've sold close to 900 tests so far.
Hi, thanks for having me, Ankit. And I'm the founder and CEO of Health Vectors, a personal health analytics company headquartered in Bangalore. And here we are looking at clinical data and personal health data to be able to take a holistic view of a person's health. And our focus mostly is building this analytics engine, one of the outputs being, smart health reports, which is now used by top diagnostics and chains around the country and outside. And the other focus is on predictive health, which predicts the risk of non-communicable chronic diseases and shows you a pathway to reduce those diseases as quickly as possible so that you don't have that risk and you're avoiding those diseases for as long as possible. Thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on this panel. My name is Varun Gera. I'm the founder of HealthTech, a company founded in 2011. What we do is we are a PPO in the market. Our distribution is across 1,300 cities, and we focus on anything to do with primary care. So, and fitness. We work with most of the insurers in the market, being the preferred providers, and we work with a lot of corporates. We recently launched OPD insurance products as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I now request Dinesh Bandhian from GeoVio Healthcare to talk about his startup?
Hey, thank you, Ankit, for the opportunity. So, we are a IoT-based maternal care device-based startup. So, right now, we are working in Tier 3 and Tier 4 places. So, we are basically working on the entire maternal care end-to-end solution for the rural women and rural people. So, we are working with a lot of NGOs and head organizations for the easy pregnancy and what can we say, the best pregnancy experience what we can avail from our IoT devices. Right now in this COVID situation, we have make pregnancy of 337 women very easier in the IoT places without the help of doctors on querying them. So that's a short intro about us. So, and thank you, Ankit, for having me here. Thank you. Thank you,
Dinesh. Next coming up is Raktim Chattopadhyay, who's the founder and CEO of Esperer Onco Nutrition.
We Esperer Onco Nutrition and Esperer Nutritions, we are working on the nutritional interventions in cancer disease management, right from the disease management and preventive care both. We have set up our own R&D. We have commercialized certain products. 2 products, Indian patent got cleared recently. And it is 2019 setup company. And recently the company has been heavily invested by Dr. Reddy's group.
Yeah, it's Docare actually. Yeah, we confused people with that kind of a name. Yeah. So my name is Dalip Manhas. I am the co-founder and EVP partnerships at Docare. And this is the first global network of physician-only platforms for programmatic advertising or marketing, as we call it. So it's like an advertising exchange in the healthcare, which is first of its kind. There is none that exists in the global market also. So we are at one end looking at advertisers, which could be a pharmaceutical brand, a medical devices brand. At the other end, all these physician-only platforms, they have advertising space. So we are bringing these two together and working like an aggregator so that physician marketing can be optimized and made measurable, which is not possible on digital today. So that's what we are doing. Thanks a lot and pleasure meeting you, Vaidheesh. Would be seeing you after a long time. Thanks.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Quick story short, FitPass is India's largest fitness network. We're one pass to 4,000 premium gyms and fitness studios. The vision is to make fitness accessible and affordable. Currently, all our solutions in the market revolve around sickness. India is unfortunately or fortunately a country that is very young. And what resonates with them is aspiration and staying strong and staying fit. So FitPass works with banks, insurance companies, healthcare providers. We have a large retail channel. So we do about 7 lakh active customers a month. and they work out across the network, whether it's gym, yoga, Pilates, Zumba, Krav Maga, CrossFit, mixed martial arts. And we've just gotten a huge regulation change from IRDAI. So we've been working with them for the last 2 years, very closely lobbying with the FM, the PMO, reinsurance companies, insurance companies, to now make fitness a part of health insurance. So thereby covering your premiums and getting a tax benefit for it. So this has come, so we hope to make fitness more accessible, and that's why we exist. So we've been doing this for 5 years now. So thank you for having me. Look forward to listening to everybody here.
Hi, Ankit. Thanks for giving time. So we are a technology company. We facilitate business for digital transformation via cloud technology. Within our forum, we call healthcare as an anti-fragile vertical, because this is the only vertical who's growing in India. And I'll just share a couple of 2-3 pointers. Like from India's perspective, we are already shortage. There is already shortage of 1.65 lakh doctors, and currently, we are having 0.56 bed per 1,000, patients, whereas the WHO recommendation is 5 per 1,000. And from the doctor perspective, we are only at 0.69, whereas China is 4.5 beds per 1,000. So whereas for sure, COVID had revealed strength and weakness of our healthcare or global healthcare systems. So going forward, everything has to be digitally enabled, where people can touch from one to many, one-to-one concept. Like 101 is very challenging. So down the line, it will be one to many, and we are helping all the health techs and enterprise companies for digital transformation.
Great, thank you so much, Gaurav. Next up, we have Gaurav Mehta, who's the founder and CEO of Dharma Life Sciences.
I run a social enterprise called Dharma Life. So what we do is we create rural women entrepreneurs at the village level, have a network of 16,000 entrepreneurs across 13 states and 40,000 villages. We sell social impact products and services to the last mile, and also deliver digital behavior change and research, consumer data and research collection services to corporates. We have been around since 2009 and have reached more than 13 million people so far, and based out of Delhi, obviously right now. Difficult time. So everyone based remotely. So
yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And Ankit, I guess, and the odd one out in this group, along with Mr. Vaidheesh for company, of course, being a pharma guy. So I've been in sales, marketing, and headed businesses, more so in specialty care, cardiometabolism, worked with leading multinationals like Sanofi, and then with Abbott. And we are focused more into pain management and gynecological solutions.
So I'm Arpit Paliwal from Happy Reliable Surgeries. We are a Bangalore-based startup. We are focusing on computer-assisted surgeries for brain and spine. So we have a product which helps the surgeon to operate. And with our solution, even a surgeon with less experience can deliver the results like a senior surgeon. And we have a good installation base in India, and soon we are going international also.
Sure, thanks Ankit. Hi everyone. I'm Deepak Gandotra, founder of OPD Lift. We are a single-stop OPD management platform, a B2B SaaS company working with clinics and hospitals. Currently in India, we help with management for walk-ins, booking appointment, and telemedicine before it became the most talked about thing few months back. We are working with 70% of our clinic base beyond tier 2 cities, something which I'm really proud of. And that has been possible because we have an end-to-end integration with WhatsApp. And to the best of my knowledge, we are probably the only health tech company which provide a mobile web video consultation service. So that's about us. Look forward to interacting with you.
Thank you. Fantastic. That wraps up the quick round of introductions. I must say we've had, as I mentioned at the start, this is the 4th session in the series, Think Tank. We've had EdTech founders, we've had infra, real estate founders, and yesterday we had fintech founders. But given the times, I think I'm most excited about today's session, where we have some of the finest, sharpest brains from the healthcare sector, pharma sector. Well, normally we tend to think of our, we tend to think of our population as a huge problem, right? How will we give vaccines to 130 crore people? More like a liability. But I think, the other way of thinking it is, can it be an asset? And to talk about how we can convert this power of $1 billion into a competitive advantage. Can I now request Vaidheesh to take us through his thoughts and presentation of power of $1 billion, fast forwarding the future. Vaidheesh, can't wait more to listen to you. Over to you.
So can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic, Ankit. So first and foremost, I must say that while listening to the introduction, it's very clear that India is in for a great future, particularly when it comes down to healthcare. I think the amount of innovation, the kind of startup environment that is being created now is really fantastic. And I see a couple of my friends are also on the call. So good to see you all again. See, as Ankit was talking to me, there are so many topics on which, particularly in healthcare industry, you can dwell on and you can debate. That's an interesting part of the healthcare industry in India. The reason why probably Varun would know that, because I remember having spoken about this whole concept of healthcare in India is very unique compared to rest of the world. It's because the choice that we made, I'm not sure whether deliberately or by default, is the fact that we inherited a healthcare system of British legacy, and that was all primarily focused on acute care and dealing with people who are sick and quickly attending to them. It's like a one-off kind of an event. I think India has done a good job of managing this for many years. I keep saying 1947, when we gained independence, average longevity of an Indian was only 48. And from there, today we are talking about average longevity is 68 in a population of 1 billion. So definitely we have progressed as a country and people are living longer. The question always comes up is whether are we living longer better than the other countrymen, or we have a huge scope for improvement. The biggest challenge, I think, I would say that we are facing, which I will share with you as we move along, is the way in which we are structured as a healthcare system. Because in many countries, whether it's Japan, Korea, and many other countries, they started integrating the healthcare system. I mean, all the ecosystem are integrated and keeping patient at the center, and where they have been able to gain a full control over various components of the system, so that the patient is able to get, or the disease that you are trying to manage or the burden that you are trying to manage, you are able to manage, measure, and do something about it to reduce the burden. And also keep reviewing your standard of care and what is the cost of standard of care. Whereas in India, the biggest challenge that we are facing is that our system is not integrated. So I'll talk about it as we go along. So that's your start. But however, I think the biggest advantage that India has got is the billion people. The best part about having large number of people is that the fact that you can syndicate your risk, unlike what they call it as the more the merrier, particularly in the healthcare system, because of you have a large volume to deal with. Your costs are likely to be, India can be a big center of excellence in terms of coming up with innovation that can produce innovation at a really phenomenally cost-effective way. Like what has happened in mobile technology, where the ARPU, average revenue per user, is so low, but the cost per minute is so low. Talk time is very low in India. as compared to the rest of the world. And that is the kind of expectation we should have in healthcare, where you can have the best of technology and at the same time at the lowest cost possible, right? Provided we have an integrated system. So that's your biggest question that we need to be looking at. So if I look at the future challenges, that if you look at it, I'm not going to dwell into the demographic trend that we all talk about. And by 2030, we are going to add globally 1 billion population. So almost about 8.5 billion people are expected to inhabit the planet. And rapidly aging population of 500 million people are going to be above 60 by 2030. It's a large number of old people coming into above 60. When I said old, not necessarily old, but above 60. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on increasing healthcare demand. So they expected $13 trillion by 2025 if the growth trend continue, and it can raise by 70% by 2025, US dollar 13 trillion. And now we have COVID, infectious disease, suddenly has come out of the blue, and now it's altered the dimension of what is healthcare is all about. It's putting a huge pressure on the healthcare system. Now, quite obviously, the trends remain the same. Of course, with the COVID, suddenly everybody has become holier than thou by focusing on health, and unbelievable focus, awareness has come in, which is good. Hopefully, we sustain it. But the broadly poor lifestyle, then other trend is the exploration of biological knowledge, like what I just heard from many of the startups, that whether it's a detection, whether it's a treatment, we are in for a real explosion. And people are getting richer and will spend more on healthcare, right? There are, which I will show you a chart how we are able to find money. Of course, money on relative terms is not going to be the same, but there is an increase. As I told you, aging and growing population and the rise of consumerism and the informed patient, as you can see from Corona. I find it so interesting that everybody has become an expert on vaccines. So I get so many calls, people are asking why that, why not that, and I'm just wondering, my God, people don't even know what is immunology, and people are challenging on subject which they don't have a clue. But one way it's good, the other way is pretty pathetic, because uninformed population also can create more chaos in the development of a good care for the patients. But that is it's a boom, right? Whether it's a WhatsApp, whether it's all kind of technology that you are dealing with. Now, disruptive technology, many of you are quite expert in this. I'm not going to get into it. Just try to give you kind of broad stuff that is happening in the technology area. Whether it's a 3D printing, quantum dots, synthetic biology, machine learning, carbon sequestration, intelligent actuator, Baxter robots, advanced analytics, high strength steel, hydraulic fracturing, quantum computing, solar photo, the kind of technology that you keep hearing, they're all unbelievable and mind-blowing. That's all going to have a big impact in the way that we are going to live the future. This is not the kind of past that we lived in, but today we are talking about path-breaking technologies. And even if you look at the adoption of new technologies, it has taken 38 years to get a radio in terms of to get 50 million users, right? With many of us, I don't know, at least I would say my first transistor radio was a big thing, Bush Barron. And that was way back in late 60s and early 70s. Having a transistor radio was a big thing. And after that, the television came. It took 50 million users to get 13 years. Now today, it's taken only 9 months to get 50 million users. But I guess in today's context, Even a singer can get a 50 million viewership, and the kind of stuff that we all know, right, in YouTubes and the kind of stuff that people are talking about. So we are in for a massive transformation that's happening. And 12 technologies have significant potential to disrupt, as many of you are already working on some of these areas. There's quite obviously the mobile internet, cloud technology, IoTs, automation of knowledge work, advanced robotics, autonomous, near autonomous vehicle, 3D printing, energy storage is going to be a big thing, renewable energy, and in medicine, next generation genomics, and advanced material, changing the building blocks of everything in the genome, right? So what it has done is that, so quite obviously, healthcare expenditure trends in almost in all the countries have deviated from GDP growth over the past 25 years. So quite obviously, we are also living longer, right? We used to live in 47 or 48 years average longevity. Today, we are living at 68, or rest of the world, Singapore is about 85 and Japan is about 86. So quite obviously, the healthcare expenditures are rising much, much faster than the GDP. Now, with the kind of technology that I talked about, new innovations, and costs of healthcare is going to increase. Now, people may think that we need to bring it down, but the fact is, it's going to add every technology change. It's going to add new drugs in oncology, cancer, or in Alzheimer, or dementias. Now, Holy Grail discoveries are happening. That's all going to add 5 and 10 years. Quality of living is going to improve with the kind of innovation that I talked about. So the healthcare expenditures are going to change, are going to increase, and people may say that, oh my God, what's happening? But the fact is, it's inevitable. As much as now, only thing is that the pressure is going to be there. How the money is going to be spent, there's going to be a constant pressure between the payers, providers, policymakers, and patient pharma companies. All this constant fight of trying to find out what is the best solution, right? And like, for example, we are just talking about COVID vaccine. Now, very interesting solution, right? Now, suddenly we are talking about Serum Institute is going to make billion vaccine out of Pune, and then they are going to take care of India as well as for the rest of the world. Now, see the kind of synergy that people are looking at. But the fact of the matter is that it is not United States is saying, I'm going to give a carte blanche, $2 billion to the company which is already working on it. So this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen in the healthcare expenditure, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's for increasing your longevity. So the healthcare expenditure will continue. And the other one is the 5 Ps of future medicines, which we talked about, the predictive, that many of you are already in the diagnostic, then preventive, actively preventive medicines, point of care, and parametrics, which is happening, multiple parameters or reference to patient's own baseline and genetic profile compared to standard model. And then the personalized medicine, which is going to be a significant change that you're going to see, because every company is working on it. It's profitable at the same time. Each individual who can afford to pay can get to live longer and with a good quality living, right? So I particularly see this in oncology or in autoimmune disorders, where a specific phenotype and genotype research that are happening in this area. Now, if you look at the timelines are very interesting timelines, right? So if you look at 2030, that we are talking about, from cell therapy to gene therapy to you're talking about nanomedicines and nanomedicine diagnostic, nanomedicine interventionals. So there's a lot of stuff that are happening within the matter of 1990 to 2030. I'm quite sure that many of you would be knowing in this area, it's dramatic change. So I would say this is something which we saw it, as many of you would remember, correct? So what I call it as the Star Wars kind of stuff, but today the future is now. Everything can be replaced, everything can be changed. Somebody who can't hear, no longer you worry about hearing. Somebody who can't see, simple thing like Arvind Eye Hospital transformed the preventable blindness. So in less than $50, intraocular lens, foldable lens technology is given to the poor man or a poor lady, and now they can see the world, which otherwise they would have been deteriorating. Similarly, joint replacement with the kind of material, the people who have got a degenerative, so now you've got implants available, and they're all getting back on the feet. Or there are drugs that are being, available to reduce the degeneration of various diseases. So future is now. So after having talked about the globally, then what's happening in India, right? What people are enjoying in the global basis can we enjoy? Can Indian healthcare be transformed? Now, the reason why I'm asking question is that I think Indian healthcare need to get transformed, because the way in which it's currently structured disjointedly, a payer, provider, policy maker, pharma companies, all of them have their own different agenda. Like for example, some startup company, I saw all of you, but I know for sure that you're all working in isolation. You got a great ideas. How does it get looped into the system which is going to pay for it? Correct? What is the current standard of care? Who defines the current standard of care, and who's going to pay for it? So if I look at it, I've got old data, but it more or less reflect the current data too, and government data. So if you look at the kind of money that we spend, it's about 3.84% of the GDP in year 16, more or less similar currently. Right now it's 4%. And government healthcare expenditure is about 30%. Yeah. And very important thing is the out of pocket. Now, out of pocket is contributes significantly in India. And the private insurance is about 22,000 crore. Now it's almost like 30,000 crore in 2020. It clearly tells you something about where is your source of funds for healthcare. Currently, the major source of health patient or individual person, as and when the person is suffering from a disease. That, in my opinion, is a disaster for a development of a good healthcare. There's no way an individual patient can, it's like a retailing of a healthcare, like buying a potato chips or a detergents and toiletries, right? Where companies know exactly what is the volume of detergents to be manufactured by Hindustan Lever. But here the people are now consuming a hernia procedure or a cholecystectomy or a appendectomy or a onco procedures. They are going and negotiating with the individual doctors. And then there's the whole system of trying to find a solution to the patient is so much dependent on that person, individual person's ability to pay for it. So some of the stuff that many of you talked about, the diagnostics, or, somebody is going to say, what, I've got only 1,000 rupees, so kindly figure out how to take care of me in 1,000 rupees, right? Now, this, in my opinion, it's a bad structure for a good development of healthcare. It's going to be so knee-jerk reaction to what need to get done, which is the old way of doing things. When people are dying at the age of 45 and 46, where people required an immediate attention of people dying of dehydration, people dying of simple infections, people dying of stomach ulcers, Now, today people don't die of that. Today people die of something very different, which requires much more expenditure. And so the point that, which I'll come to it, is that as you can see from it, I'm not going to dwell more on this, again, out-of-pocket expenditure is significantly going up, means still at 60.6% or a 60 or in and around 60 and 65. And whereas the per capita, yes, it has gone up from 1,400 or 500 to 4,000 rupees. But look at the way where we are getting the funding from. Social security expenditure is only 6.3%, 6.3%, and private healthcare expenditure, health insurance has jumped up to 4.2%. So, but very important thing for us to remember is the big payment, as I can show in the chart, is about 65%. The latest one, where we're talking about all household out-of-pocket payment. Now, even if I split it up into all union government employee like CGHS and all these guys, they pay 6.8%, and union government is about 1.8%, state government is about 10.6%. But the rest of this, if you really look at it, if I have to do that in a developed markets, in most of the markets, it will be completely different. Out of pocket will not be more than 8 to 10%. And that's how it should be, because there are some specific cases where people say, I would like to pay out of pocket and experiment and make sure I live longer beyond what the government has said. So we are on a very lopsided approach to dealing with healthcare. And even if I have to give you current health expenditures, providers of healthcare, where the money is going. So general hospital take about 25.9%, pharmacies take about 28% of the money that's coming in. Private health insurance get only 0.2%, social health insurance 0.3%, government administration takes 2.4% of the money. So preventive care is only 5.1%. And ambulatory centers are about 6.2%. So if you medical and diagnostic laboratory is only 4.6% of the total cost health expenditures. So it clearly shows that the entire budget that is being generated, it is based on the response of people spending out of pocket, right? And how to reconcile to this particular scenario? Even in BRICS countries, if you look at it, it's not that only in India. Now, India is about 65%, Russia is about 45%, and China is about 35% out of pocket, Brazil about 25%, and South Africa is about 6%, more or less. So we still go a hell of a lot paying out of the pocket. And we are 6th, India is ranked 6th in the out of pocket. So even in 2040, the estimate is about 54% is going to be out of pocket, where India and Russia are the one still operating at a very out of pocket, high level of out of pocket expenses. And China will be around only 20%. So I've been talking about this for quite some time, since 2006. It's time that India need to come up with a financing mechanism of making sure that people don't pay out of the pocket. Instead, find out risk syndicated financing approaches. And that's why I've been pushing this whole health insurance as a basis of health cover, rather than everybody's paying out of the pocket. Why would somebody sell their property to take care of their, cancer incidents in the family? Or why would somebody sell the jewelries? Or why would somebody stop their son from studying? Typically in our family, the girls get married and people save money for the marriage and all of them disappear. Now, frankly, in my opinion, if you don't sort this out in our financing model of our healthcare, we will continue to be challenged of giving a very suboptimal healthcare outcome, and what I call it as the healthcare by serendipity. People who know where to get what will get the benefit. Largely, the people will not get the benefit, will be still dealing with a very, very serendipity approach to healthcare. However, I think the Ayushman Bharat, which is what I think it's a great attempt to integrate the healthcare system of the country, at least for the inpatient, where the government is making a great attempt, because unfortunately in India, healthcare is a state subject. To get every state to talk the same language is a nightmare for a central government. However, I think there is a big attempt has been made to make at least a common man, the below poverty line people, get some kind of health cover. Of course, it's a debatable point what's happening with corruption, whether there is a, I'm not going to get into the detail, but largely, I think it's a direction of travel is excellent of integrating, where you risk syndicate, financial syndication, providers, payers get to make money, and everybody knows there is a transparent approach, and technology is coming into play, and standard of care is being defined. I know that it's not a, but are they defining it correctly? I don't think so, because there's a lot of scope for improvement. And insurance penetration at the private level, private insurance, surely is increasing, but it's not adequate at this point of time. There's a lot of innovative financing option, accounting, like microfinance, insurance options, social impact bonds. These are all some ideas. Now, other one is the technology companies like Jio, Facebook, Amazon. All these guys are at the verge of transforming healthcare delivery in India. As you would have seen that Jio buying at NetMed, and they've got some 500 million subscribers, and they'll put on top of it, and they may cut down almost huge inefficiency in the healthcare delivery. I'm not going to get into the details of how they're going to look at, but I see a big disruption waiting to happen. Crowdfunding options, they're all emerging using technology. Look at vaccine development, unprecedented speed in which more than 25 options are available. By next year, the entire population will be flooded with choice of vaccine, which vaccine to buy. Because the way in which we are currently working, otherwise normally a vaccine takes more than 8 to 9 years to get a good vaccine after having done everything. So there's a huge amount of multi-stakeholder working together is happening. So I think that there's a lot of innovative financial modeling that has to happen. Rajasthan is trying something, then there's a Israeli approach to social outcomes. So progression of economy, if you look at it earlier, was agricultural economy to industrialization to information economy. I think in the next 10 to 20 years, all going to be imagination economy. It all depends on how you imagine the economic. Like in the last 6 months of COVID, nobody could imagine what where people are going to make money. People are making money on something which you could never imagine, right? And suddenly during COVID time, Mukesh Ambani has become a richest man, 5th richest man, right? And it's not happening through a normal, it's all through a technology space. So I think it's, I don't think one can suggest anything what should be, but broadly speaking, I think future is coming fast. COVID-19 has brought in unprecedented change in healthcare delivery and solution. I think we'll be a fool if we don't leverage the power of billions. The scale that's going to be so important in India. If you don't have a scale, we'll be suboptimal. And I know startups as an idea is a great idea. And how do we take the startup and get into the scale model with bigger companies, bigger participation is going to play a very big role in converting our ideas into, because India is all about scale. the end of the day, everybody is going to talk about low price, but the low price will come only when you increase the scale of operation, right? So I want to conclude by saying is Ayushman Bharat 2.0, 3.0 solution may be an answer, but it's faster we integrate the healthcare ecosystem and start looking at technology assessment using single patient-centric approach to governance model of having some minister in charge of patient who report directly to the Prime Minister, rather than having multiple departments trying to deal with different aspects of ecosystem. Then we will start getting the right kind of funding to deal with the healthcare demand of the country. So I believe the future is now. I think India is trying to be part of it, but I think India need to be there. Okay. So thanks very much for listening to my thought about what the future is and the power of billion. Thank you.
So, Vaidheesh, after that amazing presentation, I'm going to open up the floor to all our fantastic participants to put in, come up with their thoughts, questions, ideas, suggestions. We all know how to raise hands in Zoom. So if you can, just raise hand and I will just point you guys out, to start with your questions, thoughts, All right, okay. We'll start with Subhasish. Subhasish, please go ahead.
Yeah, fantastic presentation, Vaidheesh. I mean, first time I'm meeting you, thoroughly impressed. No wonder you were leading such organizations and doing such impressive stuff before. It all shows in that presentation itself. Now, Vaidheesh, I have been trying so hard over the years to see, because I came into this field being a material science metallurgist and liked science and numbers. I never was in this field, but I lost a close friend who was just 32, and he died of cardiovascular complications. And I quit everything that I was doing, trying to focus on what we are doing here at Health Vectors. And the question that I have is, I've been trying so hard over the last 7-8 years to see how we can actually get people to think about prediction and prevention instead of reactive medicine, instead of trying to do something after you have diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. Those are the biggest ones that we are. What will it take? At least I can tell you this much. COVID has really helped the thinking, because this whole comorbidity thing is suddenly very important in people's mind. And how to avoid comorbidity, how to even have morbidity to begin with, is what we are focusing on. What's your thought? Will this, what else will it take for people to understand that you can really prevent diseases, and we can actually tell you what are your chances and what are the things you need to do in order to reduce those risks?
Oh, Subhasish, I think your point is very valid, and I think your frustration is also valid. It's not unexpected. So the way in which I would respond to you is very simple. We should not be looking at India as a large country where the healthcare problem is resolved, to be resolved by one of our ideas. Situation like pandemic can unite the country big time, right? As we said that suddenly everybody hears some words and they latch on to these words. People who cannot even pronounce hydroxychloroquine. But the fact of the matter, the whole country was talking about hydroxychloroquine, right? Or people who never even understood what is vaccine. Now everybody is talking about "Mere ko bhi vaccine chahiye, vaccine chahiye." So question here is, one way to talk to a country is to pandemic, which I don't think we want that to happen. The other way is to, I think we should not try to boil the ocean, right? As a simple idea of, say, predictive. Now, predictive diagnostics, if you have got some idea that you need to work on, I would take one town or one district and make sure, because that itself is a big task. As an example, I'm working with one of the NGO at this point of time. In Uttaranchal, we are trying to look at one district and trying to manage what I call the primary healthcare. What should be the center of excellence? What should be the ideal model of primary healthcare, where the patient care pathway is well defined for people to get the right kind of primary healthcare, right? So I take the example of Arvind Eye Care as the one way to take inspiration from, because the Nachyar, the old man, I'm talking about way back in 85, 86, I remember having met him. He was very clear at that time that he wanted to remove preventable blindness, because cataract is the biggest problem, right? So I remember at that time I was a brand manager, product manager for IOLAB intraocular lens, and we were selling it at 5,000 rupees a lens, which he said, listen, 5,000 rupees is impossible for a common man to pay. I need for 50 rupees, right? Now, he took that upon himself to solve the problem in a city like Madurai, right? Now, that, in my opinion, is the way to solve the India's problem. I don't think you can solve the country's problem. And everyone, if you look at Shankar Netralayas, in ophthalmology as an example, if I look at, I think we progressed because of these inspiring leaders who took this idea and they believed in it and spent time. Whether it is L.V. Prasad in Hyderabad, whether it's an Agarwal center, South became a big center of excellence when it came down to ophthalmology. Or if you look at GI space, either it's Asian Institute of Gastroenterology, or you look at Dr. Pradeep Chaubey in Delhi in Max, and how they also, they do a record number of laparoscopic surgeries, or Dr. Palnivelu in Coimbatore. So I think in India, we have got a fantastic center of excellence. And even in cardiology, there are some center of excellence that has happened. What is required, in my opinion, is somebody need to take one idea, make sure that gets succeed in area of your own influence, and then only you can go. Otherwise, if you try to solve the India's problem, it's impossible. Impossible. Bihar is different from Tamil Nadu. For example, somebody asked a question to Arvind Eye Hospital, why are you not solving the problem in Bihar on cataract, right? So they do 3 lakh procedures, but he says it's very difficult. I can put up a center in Nigeria and solve the problem, but not either a Bihar or a UP or any other place. Within our country, we have our own challenges. So we need to have our own conviction where it will work, make it work, and see where it can. This is my practical advice. I'm quite sure there are other people who have.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, Vaidheesh. Thank you so much for those wonderful words, great insights, pearls of wisdom, as I call them. Thanks for taking time out. We've ran really over time, but you patiently heard all of us, answered all our questions. Thank you also to my wonderful participants. I think without you guys, today's session would not have been engaging, engrossing as it turned out to be. So we are all really hoping that the pharma world is going to come out with answers to bring us out of this situation which we've all been in the last 6 months. I hope a solution comes out sooner than later. But I think nothing can be taken away from the efforts of this industry in particular, to help mankind move forward. So thank you all. Thank you for the amazing, great work that all of you have been doing, and taking time out on a Saturday to be part of this session. So on that note, and wishing everybody stay safe, stay hungry, and till we meet again. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, Vaidheesh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.